Hello, please welcome to a brand new episode of the VOM Podcast. In our studio, we have a special guest, Mr. Didier Boissiere, CEO of Altan Khaan Gallery. And thank you for coming to our studio.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Mm-hmm. And so, first of all, please tell us about yourself in more detail.
Okay, as you can see, I'm a man, French national. I came here a long time ago, actually in Mongolia back in 2011, settled permanently in 2018, and I'm living here permanently, saying that my second house is in France, but my first house is in Ulaanbaatar.
So, what made you want to work and invest in Mongolian art and culture?
Well, I came to Mongolia with a sort of venture capitalist mind, meaning that I was looking for opportunities, business opportunities to develop. And I was mostly inclined to do something in real estate because that's my background, real estate development, real estate construction. And it was not that easy to find immediately, but once I stopped at the Blue Sky Hotel, on the ground floor, the first floor, you call it the first floor, and there was a very small gallery at that point in time, maybe 11 square meter, something like this. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the paintings and I said to myself, wow, there is talent here, mm-hmm. And from there I started to investigate, to talk to friends, to talk to people about who was actually promoting the Mongolian talents overseas. And actually, people told me, sorry, there is no one. If you want to do it, do it. So then, of course, having said that, I said, okay, should I do it? But, I have no experience. Honestly, at that point in time, I had no experience in arts and culture, although I'm French. But and I found out that actually there was a woman who started this sort of business of promoting young Mongolian artists to the world. I will not cite her name, but she was a foreigner. Mm-hmm. And we partnered for a certain period of time, and then I went on my own. But she introduced me to artists, she introduced me to the business of what to do, how to exhibit overseas, how to promote those artists. So this is how it came. And actually, for me, I must admit, it's a business opportunity first, because I saw the potential of their values, the values of artists, picking up with time, because actually they are very talented. And this talent has to be recognized overseas. Mm-hmm. And I'm working for it, actually.
Mm-hmm. So, do you usually work with Mongolian artists or maybe some foreigners? Or?
Definitely, only with Mongolian artists. Mm-hmm. I decided to be very strict on the line of business. I only support young Mongolian artists because I believe that the older ones don't deserve my assistance. They can manage by themselves. They can progress with their relationships, acquaintances, and customers by themselves. The young artists are having more difficulties, especially, of course, in going overseas because it's not that easy. You need to have contacts. When you look at the portfolio of young Mongolian artists, some of them have exhibited maybe in Beijing, maybe in Seoul, maybe in Moscow, maybe in Irkutsk, but not to Berlin, not to London, not to Paris,
Western
not to
countries.
Madrid, not to the western part of Europe. That's difficult for them. And because I'm European myself, I thought that was ideal for me to be their bridge to the West.
So, please tell us about your future plan on publicizing artworks of young Mongolian artists to European countries.
So, so far I've been exhibiting a few artists in different occasions, but mostly in international art fairs. And I must say that when you are not very wealthy, which is my case, it's difficult to do it because actually these international art fairs are very expensive. You pay thousands and thousands of euros for just 3 days or 4 days. And the chances for you to sell in a place where there are like 150 galleries from around the world is not that big. You know, sometimes I came back with no sales at all, so it's a pure loss. So of course it's an excellent way to promote artists to be at international art fairs, but I'm now looking at more national or local art fairs which are less expensive. And actually, if it's well marketed in advance, in cooperation with the municipalities or the different private entities who would do that, it can be as successful as international art fairs. So this is my perspective now to develop more local exhibitions that are not that expensive, but with maybe a better results at international art fair because the competition is less. But I must say that also my plan is to settle in Europe with an art gallery, the same Altan Khaan Gallery, but to have the sister of the existing Altan Khaan Gallery, which is now in Karakurum, the Shanghai province, to have it in Rome in the next 2 years.
Okay.
So once I have this permanent basis in Rome, then it's going to be easier for me to market, to promote the young Mongolian artists, not only in Italy, but actually in France also, in Germany, in the Netherlands, as long as I've got a base and I have more presence in Europe. Because up to now, I'm spending like 97% of my time in Mongolia, so it's difficult to manage operations in Europe.
How popular Mongolian artists work in Europe? And do European people really interested in Mongolian artworks?
I think there is a curiosity that's popping up after the great efforts, I would say, of the Ministry of Culture, of the Ministry of Tourism. Mongolia is a fascinating destination of tourism, so of course it attracts interest to the art and to the culture of Mongolia. So it's more curiosity at this point and discovery. But believe me, some Mongolian artists are already recognized in Europe and have a fair value, a very good value compared to the value they can get in Mongolia. So this will pick up, and it's our effort, you know, as manager of art galleries to promote them and develop their value in the West. I'm talking about Europe. I'm not talking yet about the US or, you know, other parts of the world like the Arab countries, where there could be a potential also, but you can't be everywhere. You know, it's a difficult equation where you have to concentrate on one spot and develop your relationships and customer clientele, you know, to make sales better for them. I have always the intention to support the young Mongolian artists, not to make money myself, honestly. Of course, there is, at the end, there has to be a benefit for me. But the first interest is to assist them in developing their art and sell in the European markets.
So please tell us about your Altan Khaan Gallery in Karakurum. Quite interesting. Why do you locate it in this?
Well, initially the gallery was located near Blue Sky Hotel, actually. Not at the same place of that small gallery before I mentioned. But we had a nice location, like 110 square meters next to FC Kirun, Bambarouche Cafe. And for some reasons I had to move, and I decided to move actually to Karakurum because I have other activities in Karakurum. So for me it's a favorite destination because then I can work on my projects in Karakurum at the same time I can develop the art activity. And you know, Karakurum is also at the crossroads of tourist routes. Which makes it quite attractive for selling artworks to tourists who are on their way to other destinations. And of course, I have to select maybe smaller artworks that they can carry with them. But we can also courier, you know, the paintings or the artworks with DHL after we roll, for example, the painting and put it in a tube, and we can ship it directly so that they don't have to carry it in the Gobi or in Hofsguld. You know, we can send it directly to their home. When they arrive at home, they find the painting. So that's great. So for this, you know, Karakurum is interesting because of this touristic destination that is picking up every year, thanks again to the efforts of the ministries to develop tourism in Mongolia.
And right now, how many artists working with your gallery?
I mean, depends, but I work with between 15, 17 artists, and each year I try to pick up one more. I try also not only to focus on paintings, but also on felt, also on calligraphy, which is a sort of painting, of course, but textile, you know, and maybe leather artworks. And I also support craftsmen and craftswomen in leather, by the way, in jewels and ceramic.
So you're running a regular exhibition of the artists you're working with, so please tell us about that.
Yes, I do. Up to now, we had the custom, you know, of holding an exhibition every month. So every month was a different scheme, a different artist. We did it in my gallery before, of course. Now the gallery is closed because it's winter season, so we just reopen in May up to October. But we do it on a monthly basis. And we also exhibit at Kempinski because we had a partnership with Kempinski, and every month we changed the exhibition. We try to attract as many people as possible, but you know, it's always difficult in UB, by the way, to have people come on time at appointments because of traffic and because of the fact that people are busy. Of course, the activity in Khachorin is a bit different because you have to welcome, you know, tourist groups mostly, or independent tourists. So it's not exactly the same rhythm. But for example, this summer I should have also one artist on residence in my gallery, with a part of the gallery dedicated to her solo exhibition for 1 month or 1 month and a half, and the rest of the gallery being more an art gallery with different paintings of different artists.
You mentioned you're working on another project in Karakurum. So how does your enthusiasm for art and Think Art company's activities correlate with your Karakurum project?
Yeah, so the Karakurum project is a project that I started a few years ago, willing to develop it in the valley of Orkhon, just 5 kilometers away from Khachorin city. What is this project? I must give some details about it. It's a large and fairly expensive project, but it's a national scale project. It would entail, you know, a memorial of the nomadic civilizations of the Eurasian steppe. So not only talking about the Great Mongol Empire, but talking about the Hunus, the Xiongnu, the Xiangbei, the Uyghur, the Gökturks, and of course the Mongols, but not only of the Mongols. So there would be a huge building of 8,000 square meters, you know, featuring and displaying actually what we could explain to the visitors, you know, about what these civilizations were, what their art and culture was. And it's not a museum, it's only on a digital basis. That means people would receive a pad, you know, and on this pad there would be a menu where they can choose which direction to go. Do they want to explore, you know, more the west of the Eurasian steppe, or do they want to stick to Mongolia and North Asia? It's their choice, and they can, you know, access to information and videos and things like this. There are going to be also 4 movie theaters in which we can display documentaries and cinema, actually. Not only of the past, but also on the present. For example, we can have commercial movies, you know, of Mongolia to explain the culture of Mongolia today. Because if we just stick to the past, maybe it's a bit boring for the visitors, you know. So this would be the core of the project, and around this project there would be a large touristic facility, including 3 buildings, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star hotels, and of course a gear camp, but a luxury gear camp, high-end, with floor heating and indoor bathroom, you know, with a total of 215 keys, you know, rooms, keys. And what is important to mention is that the project will also comprise a lot of amenities for activities, because the objective of this project is to have people stay like 1 week, not stay one night and go. this is a case. Nowadays in Sakharin, people just stay one night or sometimes two, and after they go to another destination. So the context here is totally different. The objective is to have short-term stay people that we can get from the surrounding region. Mongolia, of course, including UB, but also China, and you get lots of interested people in China who would come to spend 1 week, in the Karakurum project and explore, of course, the Valley of Akhan, but also other destinations from the Karakurum project location. And there would be activities for all people within a family. I mean, for the kids, for the babies, for the grandpas, and for the parents. Everyone can find its place and activity during the day, and these people would gather in the evening to have dinner together and to have maybe entertainment together. People can also participate in the entertainment, which makes it very lively. So this is the project. So why does it relate also to art and culture? Well, it's because when you think of it, this project is going to promote or to recall about these civilizations of the past. But the intention is to have also artists and cultural people and activities from these countries, from the Eurasian steppe, come over to Sakharin to present and promote their skills. So we are talking here about artistic exchanges and cultural exchanges with those countries. So this is why it relates also with my activity with artists, and again, not only painters, but also craftsmen and craftswomen, because we would love actually to have the expertise of skilled craftsmen and craftswomen, for example, of Iran or Uzbekistan, come over and teach actually young people of Mongolia on these skills, so that they can inherit this skill and turn it into a business activity also. So this is where it relates, a lot of connection with the art and culture from other countries and exchanges with the Mongolian young generation.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting project. And how do you work with the Mongolian authorities or maybe the local authorities to work with on that project?
Well, it's a difficult question, and I must say that the project is getting delayed because for like 2 years now, I didn't get any answer for my land request, about 20 hectares in the Valley of Akhan, which is a lot for a project, but it's nothing in the Valley of Akhan. Although I must admit the location that has been chosen is right in the middle of the national park. And of course, it's a UNESCO protected area.
Yes, of course, yeah.
But I believe that because it's a national scale project with a lot of benefits to develop tourism, it's really a touristic and cultural infrastructure to assist the strategy of developing tourism for Mongolia. So I think because it's a national scale project, it should get the support of the government faster than it does at the moment. What I'm hoping is that the new PPP law is going to help develop an agreement for the land use. I'm not interested in the land itself. I'm interested in developing the project. So as long as the government remains the owner of the land and participates its usage over 60 years, I think the new law allows for 60 years, that's fine. Then we can set up an agreement and develop the project on the basis.
I know you are not only work for the cultural sector, and you are working on the waste management project in the rural areas. Please briefly talk about that.
Yes, this opportunity actually came one day when I was in Sakharin, and we figured out that actually there is no way to dispose of your garbage in a proper way in Sakharin. First, the city itself, the city center, doesn't have any dustbin, for sure. It has just a few places, but very rare, maybe 2 or 3, where people dump their garbage bags, but it's generally full and expands outside of the area, and then you get dogs and birds picking up from there. And then there is a municipality dumping site, open air, which is now reaching 20 hectares. And what struck me is that actually, if I want to develop this project of memorial and the Karakurum project, my high-end customers will find out one day this huge environmental horror to have garbage and decomposing animals and batteries and tires being burnt in the open air. So then I thought, well, I have to help the local government do something about this. But very quickly, I was told that actually the decision is not theirs. It depends on the ministries, probably the Ministry of Environment and Tourism. And talking to different MPs, I was recommended actually to develop a feasibility study on how to set up a low investment demonstration project for waste management and valorization in Karakurum. So we did this together with sponsors like the Asia Foundation and AUF, which is a French-speaking universities association, and the National University of Mongolia, MUIS. And we did this at the beginning of 2023. We finished it in June 2023. And this feasibility study is very interesting because it proves that this pilot project can reach an investment amount of maybe 3 million euros, 11 billion tugruks, and it can be profitable. That's amazing. So what's the success behind this, or what's the trick behind this? It can only be profitable if the local government levies a city tax on each tourist, foreign tourist, Mongolian tourist, businessman who spend one night in a hotel, in a guest house, or in a gear camp in the area of Karakurum, Khujert, Khoton, and Khashat, because we would collect the garbage of these 4 sums. So that's very interesting for the government to understand that it's just a decision-making issue just to levy this tax, because this tax will not only make the project profitable in the future, but will also very quickly raise the equity funds that are needed to fully finance the project with debt financing. So if the decision, for example, is made today by the government, starting in April, May, the cumulative tax revenue of this city tax will raise enough money, enough funds to have the equity ready for attracting debt financing. So it means also that it does not need to call for the state budget, you know. So it's just a decision to levy this additional tax on tourists and businessmen, not on the local population. That's very interesting.
So it's my last question. How do you plan on advertising and raising public awareness on this project to the public and locals?
Yeah, so you have to understand that this waste management and valorization project in Karakurum is really a public project. It's not a private project. I'm just helping the government to have all it needs to make the decision and go ahead with this demonstration project. But you are fully right. It has to involve the local authorities and the local communities themselves, because part of the project includes pre-sorting of the trash in the premises, in the households. There is a lot of sensitization and communication to be made. We are ready to help, but it would be on a fee basis, because we have done enough now to help the government for free on this project. Now, if the project gets the support, of the government, okay, we are ready to help, to assist, but on a consultancy basis.
Well, thank you very much. And here's the end of our program. Our time is already over, and thank you for coming to our studio
and getting an
interview.
Thank you.
That's the end of our today's VOM podcast, and thank you for being with us, and goodbye until we talk to you again.